Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to finally finish this configuration and we're going to spin up our SSH server. So, okay, let's save this file. Remember that you are under the CentOS 7 folder that we created. So let's go back to the Jenkins data folder where we have our Docker compose file, and let's modify this Docker compose file. Okay, so we already defined the Docker file that we're going to use to build the image. Now it's time to define the service like this one, but for our remote host. So cool. Remember that we're going to create another service, so we should start on this level. So let's hit enter and we go 2 spaces and we're in this level. Nice. So we're going to create a new service, which is going to be remote host. Pretty simple. And then we're going to define properties like this. So in this case, we're going to set the container name for this service as the remote host. So we're going to say that this container is going to be called remote host. Cool. Now we're going to specify the image. As you see here we were downloading an image from Docker Hub. But now we're going to create our own image using the Docker file that we created. So we can give it the name that we want because we're going to create that image. So let's call it like remote host. Cool. But as the image doesn't exist, we need to specify a parameter, which is a build parameter, and then we need to specify a context. So the context means where is located the Docker file. So if you remember, from here, our Docker file is located under the CentOS 7. So if we do cat CentOS 7 Docker file, we're going to have here the Docker file that we created. So it means that the Docker file is under the CentOS 7 folder. So let's go to our Docker compose file and let's say that the context is CentOS 7. Remember that that is the folder where Docker is going to go and look for the Docker file. And the last thing that we need to do is that remember that in here we created a network. So we need to include this new service in this network to allow communication between this service and this service. So we're going to do exactly the same thing, networks, and then we define here the network net. Pretty nice. So cool. Here with this piece of code, we're defining our service, which is going to be remote host, a container name, the image that we're going to build, and the network where the container is going to live. So okay, let's save this. Oops. Okay. And now to make our image real, we need to do a Docker compose build. So what's going to happen when we hit enter? If you take a look on your Docker compose file, we're saying that the build context is under the CentOS 7 folder that we created. So whenever we hit Docker compose build, this instruction is going to be executed. Docker is going to go into this directory and it's going to look for a file